tonight. We just walked up the hill from a dedication that I did there of a ribbon cutting for new parking. So I'll take a moment if you don't mind, and I will give you a little bit of update here about our new parking lot here that we dedicated on Haywood and Church Street. For a number of years, the southern end of downtown has lacked enough parking spaces. I noticed a vacant lot at the intersection of Haywood and Church Street that would be an ideal area for a parking lot. At that point, I contacted Chuck Reese, who represents his family property owners, to inquire about his interest in negotiating with the town a long-term lease for the lot. Chuck was very accommodating, and an agreement was made to permit the town to construct a 22 space lot on his property. The town council overwhelmingly approved the lease and appropriated funds to construct the lot for much needed parking. Right after July 1st, the town staff started construction, and today we were there to dedicate this parking lot. I might add, just in time for a very popular festival season coming up in October. The Apple Festival and the Church Street Festival is coming up. In closing, I'd like to thank Mr. Chuck Reese and his family for an understanding the town need and permitting the parking spaces on their property. And an additional thank you to the town council for supporting the project in an effort to further enhance our downtown access and keeping our hallmark town worth visiting. Good. So you get a chance, go down the street here and check out our new parking lot. We've got signs coming for it. And also it will be really help those businesses here on the south end, like what is it, Church Street Burger Joint there. There's 3 or 4 restaurants right there that will benefit from this, that folks has not been able to find places to park at. Okay, I have another announcement here, and I'm going to ask, I've got 2 announcements here. And then I would like for us again to have a moment of silence for these folks that we're referring to. So I will ask Anthony to update us on that.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Some of you know, on the way to the meeting tonight, there was an accident and an individual lost their lives. And I would just like to take a moment because there's some people in the room that are very close to the person who passed away. And I'd like to say I'm very sorry. So we could just take a moment.
Close friends with Candace here. And also, Julia, if you would, Julia has some information about one of our officers, a retired officer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like us to recognize Detective Scott Muse, 30-year person with the Waynesville Police Department, an incredible detective, an incredible man, an incredible father, gave so much to this community, outstanding advocate for victims of domestic violence, elder abuse, child abuse. I first met Scott in 1997. We were just forming the 30th Judicial Alliance, and had a grant from the federal government to have 2 dedicated officers within the Sheriff's Department. And Scott stepped up, and graciously the Waynesville Police Department loaned Scott to get that unit off the ground. And he was instrumental in actually pushing the movement for victims of violence and sexual assault forward. And so we pray for his wife, Teresa. We thank him and will miss him for his service and all that he's done for this community. And so
So if you would, just please stand again and have a moment of silence for these 2 folks here that passed away. Okay. Okay, thank you all so much. Okay, move on to further business here. I have to, I'll go to look also the calendar. On Friday, October the 6th, Art After Dark on Main Street here from 5:30 to 8:30. Try to come out and support our merchants here. Do you have anything to add to that, Ms. Beth, or is that covered? Okay, thank you. And then also, our next meeting will be Tuesday, October the 10th, here at Town Hall. Okay, we'll move on. Do you have any public comment tonight, James? Okay, thank you. And again, I'm sorry. Okay, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda anyone has? If not, I'll ask for a motion that the agenda be approved.
So moved, Mayor.
Got a motion?
Second.
Second, Chuck, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. So ordered.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda, Mayor.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Second by Chuck, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. Moving along. Okay, we'll here to, community viability grant. Our town manager is going to
Thank you, Mr.
bring
Mayor.
us up to part on that. Would you pass those down
Absolutely.
that way there? Do like one more.
You still need one? I got it.
Okay. Have you already sent them that way?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Town Manager, would you please, bring us up on the wastewater improvement?
Yeah, absolutely. Several months ago, the town council adopted a resolution requesting the Department of Environmental Quality to reconsider the town's request to be a designated distressed community. The resolution refers to the towns qualifying under the department's point system. We were notified Tuesday, it was a week ago tonight, that the town will be included as a distressed community. The grant loan program that funds distressed communities is known as the Viable Community Program, and it has a grant deadline of October 3rd. In order to meet the grant deadline, the town council must adopt a resolution requesting the funds and submit a grant application to meet the fall grant cycle. The town's consulting engineers have developed a $10 million grant loan application that includes several projects that meet the state's unfunded mandate to reduce infiltration and inflow of stormwater into its sanitary sewer system. In addition to the infiltration inflow projects, excuse me, getting ahead of myself, the recent increase in the state revolving loan of $4,877,000 helped fund the gap between the contract amount of the sewer plant improvement and the $19 million state revolving fund loan, but it did not cover the entire construction cost. The Viable Communities Grant Loan Program provides both grants and loans, or loans, should the state offer a loan program that exceeds what the town can afford or require the town fund the balance of the $10 million request after providing a nominal grant, the town may choose not to accept the offer. So let me explain that. What the state infers is that if they grant us a loan or a grant, they may require as a condition of that, let's say $1 million loan, that we fund the remaining $9 million with additional private market lending. If that's the case, the town has the right to refuse that grant or loan. That's a strange stickler, but that's part of this program. Your grant includes $19,899,000 worth of projects that directly impact the inflow infiltration that we were receiving in our system. For the past 3 years, we've been smoke testing our sewer lines, and we have miles and miles of data showing where we have inflow and infiltration. And the projects that you see before you are sewer lines that have shown inflow and infiltration. Infiltration is where you have cracks in old clay sewer lines, and when you subject them to smoke, smoke kind of wafts up through the ground. Inflow is where you have a direct connection between a broken sewer main and a storm sewer main. And when you have a storm, just a regular thunderstorm, storm water flows directly into it rather than just seeping through a crack. And that's the difference between inflow and infiltration. To show you that we've taken our unfunded mandate seriously, in the past 2 years, we've replaced 10,140 feet or over 2 miles of sanitary sewer. These are the areas where we have found significant inflow. And in fact, the project that we just did at Depot and Boundary Street was an area where we found direct connection between sanitary sewer and storm. And many of you remember seeing the water bubbling up around the armory and around on the downtown side of the railroad tracks at frog level. That came from this leak that we've just repaired. So what I recommend to the board right now is that you adopt the attached resolution requesting that we apply for grants under the Viable Community Program and submit the report that I've briefly given you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, does anyone have any further questions?
Just to clarify, you said we had a little under $20 million worth of projects.
Right.
And we're applying for 10 million.
No, it was 19, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
I should never do a ribbon cutting before a board meeting. I'm getting a little old to kind of do these things.
So if things break our way, we would apply for and receive the grant to cover all of these projects?
That's what we're requesting. The way that the system works is that they could give us $5 million of grants and $5 million of loans. They could give us $10 million of loans. They could give us nothing, which is kind of what they gave us last year. So we're somewhat at their mercy as to whether we will be funded at all, and if we are funded, whether it will be a grant, a loan, or some combination. The purpose of my cautionary tone was, if we do get an offer, you have the right to refuse it, or we have the right to send a delegation up to Raleigh and plead our case.
Okay. Casey, you have any questions?
No, I think it's a very good idea to try to go over after as many funds as we can in as many ways. So I'm very comfortable with this. I think we may have a better outcome this time.
This year, you guys have questions for Rob?
No.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the resolution requesting the state to fund the town's viable communities grant request.
Okay. Got a
Second.
motion.
Second.
Got a second by Julia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, show like sign. So ordered. One thing before I go any further, this is all new to me about us being on the internet, so I'd like to take this time to welcome the folks that are watching by way of internet. And we did this is our second meeting, and so I hope this is beneficial to the folks out there that are not able to attend our meetings. So I want to add that out there for you folks, and again, I hope that you will be able to watch our meetings from your much comfortable couch. Okay. Sorry about that for leaving that out. Okay, we'll move on to number 4 here, bid for restrooms for facility at our Obama King Park. Rob, would you bring us up to, par on that?
I will, Mr. Mayor, thank you. During your budget deliberations, your staff recommended $80,000 to construct a family restroom at the facility at Obama King Park. During one of your public comment sessions, Mr. Phil Gibbs, speaking for the community, stated that he would prefer and the community would prefer to have a full-fledged restroom facility with both male and female restrooms. The town council asked us to redesign the restroom from a family restroom to if you will, a standard restroom, and bid that project out. We have finished the redesign and bid the project out. We received one bid. We resubmitted the bids a second time in accordance with state law and also received one bid. The bid price is $119,130. That would be your construction bid. We would also recommend that you increase the project budget by $59,130 to handle change orders and to handle the purchase of the material to connect the sewer and the water line to the one in the street. So your total project cost would be $139,130, and you would accept the bid of Watkins Construction and Clint Watkins Construction, and then your next item would be to approve a change order or a change to the ARP project budget, which both me and Ms. Hagan can speak to.
Okay, any questions for Rob?
It's been a long time coming, so I'm thankful that we're finally moving forward on this project.
Where did we land as far as where it's gonna be put?
We're going to put it on the back of the site where the hill is the highest.
Yeah, and I seem to recall that there was some question about fitting a dual restroom in there. Have those questions been resolved?
Yes, as you know, Preston Gregg designed the facility, and both Jesse and I have taken Mr. Gregg up there. We can put the restroom on the site. Clearly, it takes up more land, but that's just going to be what it is.
Yeah. Okay. And the bidder, you have checked out everything.
Yes, he has his
background.
He has his insurance. He has his insurance in place, ready to go.
I say let's do it.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve the bid of Clint Watkins Enthusiast.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the like sign.
I'd also make a motion to approve the budget amendment. I believe these are coming out of the ARP funds.
That's correct.
So I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendments. Have the funds come out of ARP.
Second.
And this is on item 5, correct?
Yes.
I got a budget. I got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the like sign.
Got us all covered, doesn't it?
That covers it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry to take your time to read that, Rob.
What?
I'm sorry to take away the time for you to read what the budget amendment was.
Well, I'm going to get to that next. Missy's kind of sensitive about it. You want to stand up and do it? Okay. All right. You had your
We
chance.
already approved it.
It's over
Really?
now.
approved it.
Yeah,
I
it's
know.
done.
Do we know when they might get started on this?
I do not. We'll just have to check and see what their construction schedule is. Clearly, we like to get it started in at least the pad form before it gets built.
Yes.
And one thing I did read in the notes, it says 90 days project turn from start date. So,
So once they start, it'll take about 3 months to complete.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you would let Mr. Gibbs know, when, they're supposed to get started on it, and so he can get the folks in the community the feedback
I
they need.
expect he'll want to rip.
You ought to ribbon cut when you get
Absolutely.
ready for that, sir. I said, you'll be wanting a ribbon cut for that one, Monty. I will do it. I will do it, sir. No problem. Okay, we'll move on here to, communication from staff. Rob, you've been on the spot tonight.
I'm pretty much out of breath. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, I made you climb those stairs.
Now, those stanchions were heavy.
Yeah. Oh, those scissors? Oh, yeah.
No, the thing that we carried down there to put the ribbon on.
Oh, okay.
We could have built it.
Jesse said that was tacky, and he made me take those stanchions down.
Yeah.
My staff's tough.
Okay, yeah, do you have anything for us any further than that? Okay, thank you, Rob. We've worked you to pretty
Don't
much.
say to death, I'm 71 years old.
Yeah. All right, Ms. Town Attorney, do you have anything,
Not outside the position.
to bring before us here tonight? Okay, communication from the mayor and the council. I will, give you an update. I actually went to the North Carolina Mayor's, conference last week, Wednesday and Thursday. It was held in Asheville this year. And so, myself and, Mayor Trentham from Clyde and Mayor, Jack Horton from, Franklin were the local folks that were there from here. Most of those other folks were from way out there because the next, mayor's conference will be on the coast. They move it, from the coast back closer to here in our area. Oh, and then the following year, it'll be back on the coast somewhere. So it was very, very educational. I learned a lot from going to that, meeting there. We talked a lot about what's going on down in Raleigh about this budget. And matter of fact, they had their ear to the ground waiting on it to get passed while I were there. But a lot of things that they talked about that was really, really interesting is how a bill is introduced, down in Raleigh down there. And so that was very, very interesting there of how, the bills were entered and that was, I learned a lot from that, but it was great. It was great. I would definitely recommend it. But, I'm trying to think if I have anything else. Other than thank you all again for the mayor's parking lot down on Church in, Haywood Street down there. I'm hoping that once people start parking down there, that the word will get out and you might pass something out, Beth, to the merchants and, let the merchants know that we have additional parking. And Rob's working and Jesse's working on, more signage, to kind of direct people in that area. And so that's, pretty much what I have. All right, I'll start on your end, Justin. Julie?
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, I neglected to say that Detective Muse's memorial service will be this Friday from 5 to 7 at the Masonic Lodge. So I'm sure there'll be a large crowd there.
Yeah, it will. John?
Real quick, so, several weeks ago, after, the Kavanaughs had asked me about the speeding on East Street that we've all worked on and staff has worked on. And so several weeks ago, I went and sat on their porch with them and just to kind of observe. They don't feel like that the speed cushions that are in place now are doing the job. And so I told them I'd be happy to come over and talk with them about it. And so I sat on their porch for about a half an hour, and it appears to me anecdotally about it's a 50-50 swing. I would say 50% of the cars slow down, 50% of the cars, it's like they're not even there. And so, and subsequent to that, I've also spoken with another resident on East Street in that vicinity, and he feels very strongly that the measures that we put in place are helping, but they are perhaps not solving the problem, at least to the extent he and the Kavanaughs were hoping for. And so what my suggestion is, and I have read Bob's email that he sent back on the 23rd of August. And so my question is, could we take another look at speeding on East Street? Obviously in that vicinity, from the top of Radio Hill down to the curb. And I think we are in a unique position in that we have data before the speed cushions were put in place. And so that would be very helpful if we are able to compare what is happening now to what happened previously. And so I would like to ask that we as a council do another traffic study. And Rob, based on my read of your document, that has not been done since the original.
Yeah, this would be the sixth study we have done on this, if you want another.
Okay.
The sixth one.
Okay. And so, and all of those studies have looked at just that small stretch, correct? From the curve up to the top of Radio Hill. And as I was sitting there on their porch, it occurred to me that East Street is much longer than the stretch right outside their door. And so would it make sense to look at East Street and in its entirety as opposed to just that particular location? And here's where I'm going with this, is that I'm very proud of the efforts that we have made to mitigate speeding in this town. But I don't think the problem is solved, and I don't think it's solved specifically on East Street. And so what I'd like to propose is that we check our work and look at the situation right there in the existing study area, as well as the East Street in its entirety.
And that would be all the way from Main Street to Main Street,
Yes.
all the way around the hospital, all the way.
And yes, sir. And I think it's going to be important because when the Sunnyside Drive development really comes online, that's going to be additional traffic that is going to be flowing to and from that road.
Would you want us to give you a price for that study? It won't be free.
Sure.
And should we wait till the roundabout is open
You talking about down there in,
and at the other end?
I am comfortable with that. If you can find us a price, and do you know when that
That
might
is,
happen?
yes, it's supposed to be in the next, the date we got was December the 9th. That could be quicker or
Whatever you want it to. We can bring you a price back at your April meeting, October meeting.
Yeah.
And then you can decide if you want to do the study or limit if the cost is a little high, and then you can have the study commence immediately upon the roundabout and go back in service.
Totally good with that.
I'm checking. to see if they've updated.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Question, do we typically do traffic studies on our own? I mean, we have this traffic calming policy. Do we do them ourselves on our own
No,
motion?
sir. Well, we use a combination of our own traffic computers that are handled by the police department, and we depend on JMT, who are traffic engineers, to use their measuring devices,
Right.
and they take the data from our traffic computers, our own traffic computers, and come up with recommendations.
Right. My question was, since we have a traffic calming policy, does the board itself order traffic studies? That was my question. I guess we can.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Technically, citizens, have to send you petitions and all that, but
Right. I guess what I'm thinking, traffic is good, but unless the citizens on the rest of these street are interested, then we're not going to install any traffic calming.
I understand where you're coming from, but I think that we can do it if a study is warranted. And
Sure.
obviously the cost is a factor. So I would like to see a cost of what it would be to study the entirety of East Street.
Sure.
And then we can make a decision one way or the other from
Okay.
there.
And
your options are going to be limited by the recommendation of the fire
Sure.
marshal. Under
Sure.
state law, they have the final say, even over the board. And so far, the traffic marshal has said we can use the computer devices to let you know you're over the speed limit. We can use traffic cushions, is what we have, or
Yeah.
we can use rumble strips, which I don't really recommend if you've ever been around a rumble strip. You have 760 cars a day passing Miss Kavanaugh. So you can imagine what a rumble strip would sound like.
I don't think she'd thank us for that.
Mr. Mayor, there's one other thing I wanted to mention, which is that it seems that those particular traffic calming devices don't slow down the traffic. And I've been down there several times. They're just not very big. Is there a way, and this is my question for staff, is there a way to make the speed bumps a little bigger or a little higher and include the cutouts for the emergency vehicles?
I can have JMT go out and measure them and see if, based on the ASHTA manual, which is the design manual for streets in the United States, whether they could reconfigure those to make them broader, higher, whatever.
I think that would satisfy the people that live along the street.
Sure.
That is, if it is possible to redesign those traffic calming measures that we have.
And
They're not, you can run right over them.
Yeah.
It doesn't
You don't
make
even
much of a
notice that.
difference.
I
And we could do that without a study. I could just have
Yeah.
JMT go out and look at it.
Can we start with that?
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
Okay, everyone good with that?
Yeah.
Are we gonna do that before, you still want us to bring a cost for a traffic study or just check on the cushion?
Any reason we're not spending money, so any reason you couldn't do both at the same time?
No, I was just getting confused. As
Oh,
y'all go
That's
back
what I
and
thought we
forth.
were talking about.
Oh.
So you get a bid for both and then we start with
Yeah.
the least of these.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm happy.
I mean,
I'm just,
ideally, if what's in place could be improved and, maybe that's an
I
easy
know the
fix.
ones on Locust Drive will slow you down
Yeah,
over there. I don't know if they're similar or whatever, but the ones on Locust Drive, they'll put you break.
and on Nineveh, as well. So,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm very proud of the work that we have done. I know, during the 2019 campaign, many of the doors I knocked on, that was one of the first things that people, indicated, and I'm proud of, where we are so far. So,
Long way.
it is. So,
You have anything else, John?
No, sir.
Anthony?
No, sir, I would just like to request a 10-minute break before we go into the next session.
You'd like to request what?
A 10-minute break before we
Okay,
go into
all right.
closed session.
All right, before we go into a closed session here, we're gonna take a 10-minute break.
We vote. No, why don't we, excuse me, I'm sorry, why don't we make a motion to go into closed session
Yes.
and then we'll do that.
Yes, so I'll make a motion to go into closed session to discuss a matter pending litigation for general statute 143-318-11A3 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body with privileges is hereby acknowledged.
Second.
Got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so like sign, so ordered. Thank you all for coming out. We're doing okay?
Midnight. Sorry for the.
You did good.
Yes.
No.
Yeah. It is Auto Bell
Yes,
Car
oh, yeah.
Wash
You worked at the Alliance
LLC,
Group.
Town of Waynesville.
Yeah, yeah. He was,
Ross Avenue.
I adored, yeah, we
Did a lot of work together,
To get my feet.
20-some years, so.
You know, I wasn't at the fair.
Yeah.
I had to,
You showed us the
fair
well, it wasn't, I had to deliver scarecrows, so they have their fair entry check-in today. You have to get your entries like checked in. We made 2 scarecrows and $100 to win. And so